Hello friends, Pete the drummer here, and today we are visiting the ruins of Northgate Mansion. Let's go check it out. That's right friends, I am currently hiking up what used to be the driveway leading up to Northgate Mansion. It's now part of the Cornish Estate trail that you can pick up from the trailhead parking lot. It's a pretty steady incline, but not terribly steep. And also, it's not very long. From the trailhead parking lot to the mansion ruins is maybe a mile, maybe not even. It's a surprisingly short hike if all you want to do is see the mansion ruins. This whole area is all part of the Hudson Highlands State Park, which also encompasses Mount Beacon and Anthony's Nose. I did videos from both of those places last year. I'll link them down in the description. But yeah, if all you want to do is catch some nice views across the Hudson and see some mansion ruins and not really do a whole day-long hike or anything terribly strenuous, then this is the hike for you. So while I'm still walking, I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to get around to putting this video up, so it could actually be quite late in the year by the time any of you guys actually see this video. I wanted to kind of apologize for that. I'm definitely not uploading as regularly as I did last summer, and part of the reason why, in addition to my general laziness and procrastination, turns out I found out a few weeks ago that I have Lyme disease, which, considering all the hiking I do, is really not a surprise. I am on the mend. I was feeling pretty crappy a few weeks ago. Really just no energy to do anything, no appetite. Anyway, like I said, I'm on the mend. Now that I'm feeling better, I hope to get some more videos out. So I don't know that I'm going to get around to seeing quite as many places as I saw last year, but hopefully they'll all be fun and make for good content. Anyway, I'm still going uphill, but we're almost at the ruins. Keep watching. So friends, I forgot to mention, I'm in Cold Spring, New York. I started this hike from the Washburn Trailhead, which is right along Route 9D, north of the Bear Mountain Bridge, directly across from the Little Stony Point hiking area. So yeah, Washburn Trailhead parking lot, and just follow the Cornish Estate trail until you get to the mansion ruins. So, now that we're here, I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to go explore. Okay, so I'm still on the concrete driveway that makes up most of the trail. And as you follow the driveway, over there, that area there is the actual, the front of the house. But the driveway pulls into what I'm assuming used to be a carriage port. And you can go right down into what is now, I believe, was the basement. You can see all this pipe work that must have been installed in the later years. But look at all this work, all this fieldstone construction, and all these chimney towers. Look, there's more chimneys over there. There's another chimney there. It's amazing. And you can really get a good sense of like where the main floor was. This would have been the basement. These were either windows or maybe even coal chutes. Windows for the first floor. And when we go around there, you'll see better. This was like a 3 or 4 story house. Let's go take a better look. It rained a lot here recently, so it's terribly muddy. But I'm now walking on what was the front porch. Look at this cool decorative tile work. And just, I'll show you a better view of the entire front of the house, but man, this is impressive. So just a minute ago, I was standing right there in that entrance. And you can see here on this chimney tower, this would have been the first floor. There's another fireplace on the second floor. And then on the angled on the other side of the top, there's another fireplace there, which means there was at least 3 floors. Here's another fireplace right there. If I had to guess, you can see in that wall there, there's a lot of brickwork that's missing. I'm guessing there would have been a wall, something like this, separating what would have been this room and this fireplace from what would have been this larger room here. Whoops. Larger room here that would have also encompassed this fireplace. Just a guess though. Let's go back around. So here's the main staircase looking west towards the Hudson River. If none of these trees were here, you would see a really nice view of the river and the mountains on the other side. The stairs, unfortunately, are gone. But you can see there would have been a few stairs right here, another few stairs right there, another few stairs right there, and then off to the left, I'll show you later, there's a pool. But here's a close-up view of the front. That would have been the front door, and this would have been a large grand window. And there's that angled fireplace that I was showing you just a second ago. So this is that same chimney tower that I was pointing out before. There's the one chimney on the first floor, second chimney on the second floor, and then angled in a weird way is that third floor chimney. Isn't that weird? How cool is that though? And then off in the distance there, there's another chimney tower with one, I think what would have been a second, maybe not, but definitely on that angled section. I'll show you closer in a minute. Here's more of that decorative tile. And probably what would have been another doorway, considering the threshold is right there on the main ground. But you can see across the way where all the support beams used to be. Of course, like many of the ruins that I visit, this place was destroyed by fire. Look at the size of that fireplace there. That's got to be a good 6 feet across, that opening. And then, again, it goes all the way up to the weird angled fireplace. Probably another grand doorway, maybe a double door over there, just like the one I'm standing in. You've got little little tiny windows or entrances down in what would have been the basement. I'm guessing that was probably a coal chute. And then again, another fireplace, some cool decorative tile that still remains just above it. We'll get a closer look in a minute. And then another weird angled fireplace. And what's really weird is you can see it in this shot here. That angled fireplace is actually a lower level than that angled fireplace. So either somewhere along here there would have been a divider of the two sides of the house, or somehow the floors would have stepped down at some point in the architecture. So strange. Anyway, let's keep moving around. Alright, so now I'm coming around to another big grand entryway. And another grand entryway. You can see where the concrete is flattened here, because this is where the doorway would have been. I'm guessing this area here was probably like a grand ballroom. Here's this other chimney, and again, there's all that remaining decorative green tiles. So cool. Here's a closer look of the decorative green tiles that still remain. Okay, so before we continue on and I show you like all the rest of the grounds, because there's a lot more to see on this property, let me give you the story. So, this mansion is called Northgate, but most people today refer to it as the Cornish Estates, and in fact the trail that you follow is called the Cornish Estate Trail. Originally, this mansion was called Northgate. The mansion itself was built in 1907 by a guy named Sigmund Stern, and he was a diamond merchant from Chicago. 10 years later, in 1917, he sold the mansion and the property to a guy named Edward Cornish and his wife Selina. Edward worked in New York City. He was a businessman in New York City. How he commuted back then, I have no idea. Now, there is currently a Metro-North rail line that's not terribly far, and if I'm quiet enough, you might actually be able to hear the trains going by, because it's a regular commuter rail. I'm guessing that rail has been in existence for all this time, because I don't know how a guy could get from here to New York City as a commuter back in the early 1900s. I have no idea. But apparently, Edward Cornish worked in New York City. They bought the place in 1917 and lived here until 1938. Oh, look at this. Snake running right across my path. Go on, buddy. Anyway, so in 1938, according to the website where I'm getting all this information, Edward died at his desk in his New York City office, and mysteriously, less than 2 weeks later, his wife Selina also died. The estate, the mansion, and all the property was left to Edward's nephew Joel. He owned it until a fire destroyed the mansion in 1956. After that, the mansion and the grounds were left abandoned for about 10 years, and at one point, the power company, I forget the name of the power company, but they wanted to buy the land and build some kind of power factory on this land. I'm guessing it would have incorporated the river and who knows what. But between the point of the power company trying to buy the property, the whole area became part of Hudson Highlands State Park, which protected the property, and so the power company was never able to actually purchase the land and build a factory, etc., etc. And so now that this is all protected state parkland, you can come and hike and visit and check out all these ruins for yourself. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's go check out the pool, and then we'll continue a little bit north on the trail, on the driveway, and I'll show you the dairy barn and the pump house and some other features. I'll also show you a better view of the whole front facade of the house. Here's some steps that are still intact. That's pretty cool. I'm also guessing that most of this land here was probably used for farming. Now, I did mention they did have a dairy barn because I'll tell you, man, even now in 2018, like if I were living here, I'd have to drive like 15-20 minutes just to get to the nearest supermarket. But I mean, you can imagine back in the early 1900s, there was nothing around here. So again, not only is it a big question of how did Edward commute from all the way up here down to New York City back in the early 1900s? That's question number one. Question number two, what the hell did these people do for food? Because chances are they didn't have a car. They may have had, horses and carriages and whatnot, but where would they go to get food? Who knows? I mean, this isn't exactly farmland, I mean, just beyond the house there is a mountain. So, tough to say how these people would have survived. But anyway, here's a good look at the front facade of the house. I'm currently walking east towards the front of the house. This is the first set of stairs. And you can see the main doorway was right there. And that big opening there was a big window. But you can see just how large this house would have been. Okay, so that's obviously the main house, and I've come down those stairs here, and I make a left, and now there's another couple sets of little stairs. 3 stairs, a landing, and another 6-7 stairs here. And look at this. And this pool is filled with frogs and murky water. But look, there would have been a little water feature right there, probably a little waterfall feature right there. That's pretty cool. Now there's some steps right there, but I can't figure out. There's steps there, there's 4 steps there, a little landing, and another longer set of stairs right there. But I can't really see where they would have gone off to. I've been down in that area, and there's no other structures, so it's hard to say. This is an interesting area right here. I'm wondering if this was somehow part of the water management of the pool. This was either like a spillway for another water feature, perhaps, because there's it looks like a drainage ditch over here. See all this? And there's a big pipe running right down the middle, so it's hard to say. I really couldn't tell you what this used to be, but I'm guessing this would have been some kind of water feature. Runoff from the pool would have run down here and into this sort of drainage ditch. So as you make your way north along the concrete trail, you come across this structure here. This, I believe, was the combination dairy barn and greenhouse. So let's go in. This area down here is probably where they would milk the cows. And that area up there, which you can't quite see very well in the video, but just above this wall here, it goes back another maybe 20 feet. And you can see from the roof that it looks like this would have been a greenhouse. So I'm guessing maybe they did some greenhouse gardening up in that section there. Again, just a guess, this would have been the milking area. And then over here, I believe this opening here is where the pump used to be, because there is a basement. And unfortunately, the basement is completely dark. Let me see if I can, there we go. You can see just a little bit. There is some light coming through, but it's loaded with spider webs. And there's really nothing down there to see, just some old wood and a little bit of garbage. So again, just outside the opening of this structure here, the trail continues that way, but there's clearly used to be a path going this way, and I don't know, it's too overgrown, I can't get through here. So let's see if I go around, maybe I can see what was over there. This is what I think was the pump house area. That's the entrance I was just standing in, looking down those stairs into that sub-basement. But you know, honestly, I could be wrong on that too. I do see off in the distance there's some railing structures going around, and there's a bit of a foundation wall right here. You've got this huge fieldstone wall right here, but then all along here there's this big poured concrete wall that goes way up on top of what I believe was the greenhouse. And then as you make your way continuing north, there's this natural stream here. Now, just to cross this stream, I am going to cross this little natural stream, because just a little bit further south of here is another structure. Thank goodness for waterproof shoes. I don't know if you can hear the thunder rolling in, but looks like it's going to rain pretty good in a few minutes, so I might have to cut this a little short. So let's take a look at this right there. How cool is that? And directly across the way, I just noticed, you can see that fieldstone wall there, and it's actually split open, and there's more fieldstone wall right there. You can't quite see it through the brush. Anyway, so here's this structure here. Spider webs. No idea what this would have been, but it's got all this cool mounting hardware still left on the top of the foundation wall. It has what looks to be maybe a coal chute or something, some kind of drainage system. It's an interesting wrought iron gate on the window. Let's go in. Got this weird sort of closed off section here, like a pen. There's all sorts of plumbing work, pipes and whatnot in the ground. And then there's one more structure that I want to point out as I make my way along a dirt path and back to the concrete driveway. Right across the way here is this structure. Now, the website that I got most of this information from did say that there was a garage, and this does kind of look like it would have been a garage. But again, considering the original occupants lived here in the early 1900s, they wouldn't have had a car. Maybe the nephew who lived here or owned the property until 1956, maybe by then he had a car. Tough to say. Lots of old window frames and stuff laying on the ground just left to rot. Anyway, here comes the rain. Alright, and again, here we are back at the north end of the house. Let me go in through this way, which I didn't show you before. I just gave you a glimpse. But this is like the back door right here. Interesting that it seems like this, where I'm walking now, seems to end right there where my finger is. There's all this area underneath here, but then there's clearly a doorway right there. So I don't know if this would have connected somehow. You can see all these old pipes that are sort of, looks like they've been put here. Weird. Very strange. Very strange indeed. But yeah, this whole sort of enclosed area, I mean, there's a chimney there, but it doesn't look like there was ever a fireplace right there. But, you know, like, what would this little room have been used for, if not a horse stable? And this opening here is clearly large enough to allow a carriage to come in. And so, you know, again, just guessing, but... So now I'm on the eastern back end of the house. There's a neat concrete feature surrounding this tree right here in the middle of the driveway. And a main entrance, although probably the rear back door. And there's another, alright, so that's that doorway I was just pointing out, which means this was all exterior, and that would have been going into a part of the house. But again, immediately beyond that threshold, it drops off. So something there must have been a floor here at some point. But did it connect to that area, or did it just, was this more like a mud room that kind of went into the house that way? Who knows? Who knows? All right, friends. Well, that is going to do it from the ruins of Northgate Mansion. Pretty darn impressive. Probably, I would say, the most impressive mansion ruins that I've ever come across. Even though I think Van Slyke Castle is a more fun hike to do, these ruins are far more interesting, in my opinion, than the Van Slyke ruins. Anyway, thank you as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is probably going to be a bit of a long one, but that's only because there's so much to see. So if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon. Stay tuned for more. I've got more videos coming. And until I see you next time, go take a hike.